Writers often create characters who fall into two categories, the heroes and the villains. But what can turn a story from good to great is when this idea gets expanded upon, introducing other characters that have more depth to them, like anti-heroes or neutral characters. And what I find most fascinating is the redemption of a character. Let me introduce myself. I'm Fadeless. I like to play video games and talk about anime. And today I want to break down why different writers redeem a character. Writers want to create three-dimensional characters, one with layers to them, more than just one-dimensional characters that are meant for one-off purposes. But why is that? Anime, like any other form of media, needs something striking to keep viewers coming back. And in anime, I find that there are three main qualities people always look for to decide what's most impressive. Animation. As humans, we like pretty things. We want smooth movement, beautiful art. The story, even the best animation, doesn't mean much if the plot is messy or poorly structured. This is why shows like Demon Slayer and Solo Leveling get so much criticism. Both have breathtaking visuals that feel like they're from another world, but their plots are often seen as simple and straightforward, without much depth to them. What can really separate these shows, though, are the characters, and this is where Demon Slayer really shines. I think Demon Slayer has a great cast of characters that almost anybody can relate to. And when it comes to heroes and villains, the show is very clear of who falls into which category. But there are exceptions, characters who break the mold and feel like they're more than just heroes and villains. One of the best examples is Akaza. He's a character who managed to win over the audience through his redemption. Before we dive into how Demon Slayer handled Akaza's redemption, let's first talk about the two main types of redemption arcs. In storytelling, there are two main ways I see writers redeem a character. The first method is to establish them as a villain through their actions. They might commit cruel or selfish acts, either against others or even against themselves, to firmly plant the audience's view of them as unredeemable. This builds resentment. We dislike them, we don't trust them, and we don't see a path forward for them. But then the writer pulls back the curtain. They reveal a heartbreaking backstory that reframes their earlier actions. Suddenly, we see the character's cruelty was shaped by tragedy or circumstance. The audience doesn't excuse their actions, but now we understand them. That shift from hatred to empathy is one of the most powerful ways to redeem a character. The second method is much slower but often more rewarding. Instead of a shocking reveal, redemption is earned gradually through a character's growth. We watch how their interactions, relationships, and experiences slowly reshape the way they view the world and themselves. This is redemption not through explanation, but through transformation. It's a steady path where the audience doesn't just forgive the character. We witness their change and come to believe in it. Both approaches work, but in very different ways. One forces the audience to reevaluate the past, while the other invites them to follow along as the future unfolds. For this video, let's analyze two characters who perfectly fit these two molds of redemption. Akaza from Demon Slayer and Thornfinn from Vinland Saga. If you boil it down to heroes and villains, Akaza clearly falls into the villain category. He's a demon, someone who kills humans, wants violence, and seeks eternal life. On the surface, there's no question he's the bad guy. And like I mentioned earlier, one way to redeem a character is to first make the audience resent them. Akaza does this perfectly. He kills Rengoku, one of the most beloved characters in Demon Slayer. After such a brutal act, how could anyone possibly like him? That resentment was exactly what set the stage for his redemption. It isn't until the Infinity Castle arc, where Tanjiro and Giyu face off against him, that we learn the truth. We learn that Akaza was once a boy named Hakuji. He grew up in poverty, forced to steal just to pay for his sick father's medicine. After his father passed away, Hakuji was taken in by a dojo master, who became a surrogate father figure. There, he met the master's daughter, Koyuki, who was also ill. Hakuji cared for her for 2 years, and in that time, the two fell deeply in love with each other and pledged to marry. But tragedy struck again while Hakuji was away from the dojo. A rival clan poisoned their well, killing both Koyuki and her father. In a single moment, he lost the people who had become his second family, his mentor, and his future wife. In his grief and rage, Hakuji massacred the rival clan in a fit of vengeance. That's when Muzan Kibutsuji found him and offered him a new life as a demon. Learning Hakuji's past completely reshapes how we see Akaza. His choices weren't born out of cruelty, but out of desperation, love, and grief. He stole only to save his father. He killed only to avenge those who were stolen from him. In that light, Akaza was more than just a monster. He's a man who lost everything. And that's where his redemption lies. Not in changing the outcome, but in forcing us, the audience, to confront that pain that shaped him. We began by hating him for Rengoku's death, but by the end, we can't help but mourn for the person he once was. Now, let's compare this to Thornfinn. Characters that progress over time and throughout the stories are the one that have a bigger payoff. As the viewer, we grow a deeper attachment to this character and watch them grow and experience life over the course of the show. His backstory is laid out at the very start. We know why he's the way he is. His father was murdered by Askeladd, and Thornfinn swears revenge. It's a motive we can't necessarily relate to, but it's one we can understand. We see why this boy becomes so cold, so single-minded, and why everything he does is driven by hatred. But when Askeladd dies, not by Thorfinn's hand, but someone else's, that sole purpose is ripped away. His entire reason for living disappears in an instant. That's when the real redemption begins. Thorfinn is forced to reflect on the life he's led, the raids, the bloodshed, the countless people he's harmed, and in a cruel twist of fate, he finds himself in the same position as those he once destroyed, living as a slave. But here's where it gets even more interesting. I mentioned earlier how redemption is shaped by the people around you and the experiences that you might have. And Thorfinn's relationship with Einar is the perfect example. Einar is also a slave, but his story is different. He lost his family to Vikings, the same type of life that Thorfinn once lived, and ended up in chains. On paper, he should be the one burning with rage, but instead of pushing Thorfinn deeper into hatred, he does the opposite. He shows him the possibility of a life without violence, a life rooted in peace. And it isn't one-sided either. Einar isn't perfect. He has moments where anger takes over, where you can see him wanting to lash out. But it's Thorfinn who steps in and who pulls him back before he crosses that line. That's the shift. Thorfinn, the boy who killed without hesitation, becomes the man who stops others from falling into that same darkness. Together, they build each other up. Einar teaches Thorfinn what it means to live without revenge. And Thorfinn reminds Einar that giving in to rage only keeps the cycle going. It's this balance, this mutual redemption that makes their bond so powerful. Watching Thorfinn transform from a violent, revenge-driven warrior into someone who refuses to harm anyone is honestly one of the most beautiful character arcs in all of anime. No one character arc is better in any specific way. They both achieve the same goal through different means. It's up to the writer to choose which form of redemption they would see best fit. There's certainly drawbacks to each of these forms of redemption. Like the redemption that I mentioned with Akaza, more viewers would rather see someone like Thorfinn, someone that you see their journey unfold to really build that level of empathy and connection with the character. Now with Thorfinn's type of redemption, some viewers might not actually get to really see that redemption over time. They might just see only the beginning and the end and maybe miss some of those important key moments in the middle. So seeing the backstory might just be something more that they can relate to and understand simpler. Like I just said, there's certainly drawbacks to each form of redemption, but when executed properly, it can turn out one of the most beautiful character arcs the audience will remember. I challenge you to find any character from your favorite TV show, novel, or manga who has a redemption arc and see if they fit this mold. And if they don't, that's totally fine. Let me know in the comments. I would love to see how other writers redeem a character. It's always fascinating how writers can create a character who is so hated throughout a series, and then to watch that character be more than just a hero or a villain. Thank you so much for watching. I have seen the constant support from you guys on my last video, and I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. It's so great to see my work get highly praised by you guys, and it makes me want to work even harder and produce even better content for you guys. I truly cannot thank you all enough. So again, please, if you haven't already, subscribe and join this wonderful community that we are building together. And once again, thank you so much for watching.